It's full time.
Hi, I'm Shane Crawford. Welcome to Full Time, brought to you by AIA Vitality. Now, we're going to rip straight into it. Normally, the host of the show, well, he's only hosted one show, and he's up in Queensland. He's in Hub Life. I'm not sure if he's going to come in. He's there. How are you, Ayrton, Woolley? Weren't sure if you were heading off down to the nightclubs or heading for a swim. How are you going up there?
Yeah, just ducked up off Cavill Avenue then, Crawford, just for a couple of minutes to give you that time. But see if we can get this done quickly so I can head back down, if that's all right.
Hey, breaking news, obviously living in Hub Life, I heard that you were a ball boy at a tennis match during the week. Can you please elaborate?
Did it involve Nathan Buckley and Alicia Mollett, Crawford?
Well, I don't know. We're asking you to tell us, reveal all.
Well, of course, a massive talking point out of the weekend, wasn't it, with Nathan Buckley and Brenton Sanderson both breaching those COVID protocols, and we'll touch on that in a few moments about what effect that has had on Collingwood up against Fremantle tonight. The Pies up by 4 points at three-quarter time, rather. They've been behind for most of that game, or at least through the second quarter. It comes after a big weekend for the Pies, Crawford. Nathan Buckley, as you mentioned earlier in the show, along with Brenton Sanderson, COVID breach. They were fined $50,000, of which $25,000 was suspended for playing tennis with Australian tennis star Alicia Mollett. Do you reckon that had any impact on their performance? Has it been a distraction? Should he have coached tonight? I know Damien Barrett brought that up earlier today.
Oh, no, he should definitely coach. He was given the green light to coach, so he's going to pay the fine. He's put his hand up. He said, listen, I think I've done the wrong thing, and they've obviously seen it that way. Will it affect the players? I don't think it'll affect the players too much. No, they'll just get on with it. You know, they've got a few key players out still, so we need to take that into account. And, you know, they are a very good side. They've got a lot of depth, but there's always a lot of players floating through at the moment, especially with their injuries. So there's game on. That last quarter against Fremantle, I've never heard a louder side other than the Fremantle supporters when you play over there. So look out, Collingwood. They need to find a way, because they're going to have, obviously, the home crowd right behind them as well, and they seem to be playing a good style of footy, Fremantle. So it's going to be a big talking point. If Collingwood don't win this match, don't finish the last quarter out very well, yes, all the noise right through the AFL world will be all about Collingwood and what effect the coaches have had on the team during the week. So it could be interesting style. And not forgetting, Eddie says a few things every now and then, so I'm sure that would sort of ruffle a few feathers. But I think the players have just learned to get on with it, charge along, do your best, work as a team, and hopefully get plenty of wins on the board, which they do all the time. So they'll be okay.
Yeah, you mentioned Eddie there. I wonder what he's thinking. I know you've worked alongside him for so many years, Crawford, but you've also played under a president who didn't mind having a few things to say in Jeff Kennett, and even Glenn Bartlett this week came out and had a few words about Melbourne. What do you make of all that sort of commentary and what effect, I guess, it has on a playing group and that sort of thing?
Yeah, well, a situation like Jeff Kennett, he's been awesome for the Hawthorn Football Club and what he's brought to the club. But we had an issue there for a little while where, you know, every week Jeff was the story, and there was, you know, players were having to defend what Jeff was saying. So it became a bit of a distraction after a long time. It wasn't as though there was one or two things being said. Every week there was something else. And I think he used to sit in the stands and watch the game, and I think he used to slip a few in. So at the end of the game in the change rooms, he used to walk in half tanked, and he'd just tell the media what he was thinking. So we said, pull up a bit, Jeff. So I remember as players, I think it was Luke Hodge at the time, I think he had to go and have a good chat to Jeff and say, can you pull up just a tad? We love you, we adore you, but you're just putting a bit too much pressure on our sides, and we have to defend everything you're saying. So I think that happens with Eddie at times. Eddie, you know, he puts everything into Collingwood. You know how much he loves them, and, you know, he really does bleed black and white. So you certainly get where he's coming from, but sometimes it's best the presidents just shut the trap up just for a little while until you sort of work things out, especially when you're going through a few bumpy periods.
Of course, the festival of footy, Crawford, that we've had a game every day for the past week. It began on Wednesday night with Richmond smashing the Dogs.
Yeah, huge result. Dustin Martin back to his very best. Have a look at that. 41 points. We've got a 51-pointer to Port Adelaide. Melbourne, very disappointing. The Hawks are back. 31 points. Thank goodness for that. Brisbane massive against the Bombers, 63 points. We've got North Melbourne also playing some good footy finally, 69 points against a very disappointing Adelaide. St Kilda showing their top 4 material, 53 points. West Coast Eagles in a really good game, 9 points against Geelong. And today, the Giants, who took on the Gold Coast, are showing, hang on, don't forget about us. We haven't been gelling that well throughout the year, but maybe we're going to come with a bit of a run.
Well, let's take a look now at the Giants and the Suns. That match this afternoon, it was the Giants by 26 points, Crawford. They did it pretty comfortably.
Yeah, you've got Kelly, Taranto, Hopper, their midfield getting plenty to the footy, which is a scary sign because they haven't been gelling so well throughout the year, yet they're starting to win some matches. So imagine if they can really get it going. But we know they're a classy outfit. The Suns tried hard. They were just beaten by a better side. It's good to see them still being highly competitive, but as what's happened over the last few years, especially the second half of the season, the Suns have dropped away. Hopefully that's not going to be the case, but I think the Giants are back and they're definitely a contender.
But a big blow for them today with Toby Green suffering a hamstring injury, and given that condensed fixture, of course, Crawford, it could mean he misses quite a few matches. Just how big is that for the Giants, losing a player of his calibre? Well,
we know he's a match winner, but you certainly want him for the end of the season as well. And it looked like it was more of an awareness, realising, oh, hang on, it's just tightened up a touch. So I don't think it's a full hamstring. Here I'm trying to pretend that I'm a doctor or someone with a medical background, but it didn't look severe, but severe enough to say, listen, I need to pull a pin because if I keep running around with this, it's going to rip into a half. So I think he'll be okay. I think they'll just take a real cautious approach. There's no need to rush him. There's good depth at the moment and everyone's pushing for a spot.
You did sound very professional there, Crawford, but let's take a listen now to Leon Cameron.
No, that's probably going to be hard to judge. I mean, clearly he's hurt his hammy. Hopefully it's a little one, but time will tell. It's disappointing, but everyone's going to have to go through it. So he's not going to be playing next Friday against the Bombers, but we'll just assess and see where he's at. If it's 1, 2, 3 weeks, we'll find out in the coming days. Disappointing because he's obviously clearly in great form. We're a better team when he's in the side, but. It's a great opportunity for some of our boys, and Halloran and Buckley and young Tommy Green and Jackson Haitley and Bobby Hill. A lot of these guys have been knocking at the door and waiting for their opportunities where they're coming, and they'll be coming next weekend. So we look forward to that.
Leon Cameron there after the Giants' 26-point win over the Suns. There was some talking points out of the round, and there was some controversy in St Kilda's win over Sydney. It involved Jake Carlisle. An incident with Dane Rampy. Some news from the match review officer tonight. He's been fined $500 basically for whacking Rampy's hand, or attempting to. Rampy, of course, broke that hand last week. What did you make of all of that, Crawford? It was almost a bit of Steve Creddick, Matty Lloyd type stuff, wasn't it?
It's not a great look, but I think a fine is fair enough. I didn't want him suspended. Look, it's a game where both sides are trying their best. You want to win. You've got an opposition team and players who are trying to stop you, and you use any little advantage that you can. A little crow peck on top of someone's hand, I don't think that's too much, but I think a fine's okay. Maybe he should have got a hold of his hand and just squeezed it nice and tight. Obviously having an operation during the week. Amazing courage from Rampy, but I think it's worked out okay. $500, let's move on. He won't do it again.
Yeah, definitely. Misconduct was the charge there for Jake Carlisle. But we'll move on to the 4 points, Crawford. What's taken your eye this week?
Well, they're flying high, the Eagles. Look out, especially if they've got a grand final at Optus Stadium. They built into the game beautifully. Kennedy, Liam Ryan, Flying Ryan, love him. A style makeover. The Hawks are back. Well, not really, but it's good to see the Hawks in North Melbourne play with a bit of flair, come through the middle. It's amazing what can happen when you take some courage and run through the middle of the ground. Choose wisely. We saw on the weekend the Cats had a chance against West Coast. Probably could have brought Selwood in. So I think over the next 20 days, you're going to have to choose your side very, very wisely and just chalk up as many wins as you possibly can. And if they're ready to go, just throw them in. And coach killers, well, the Demons, very disappointing. Although I'm going to stick up for the Demons because I tell you what, they've been pretty good. I know they haven't been winning a lot of games. They've been highly competitive. And I thought they just had a very low game. They looked a touch flat. But I reckon we can just wipe that one out. You go back to their current form. They had 2 really good games where I thought they brought some good game style and they had a real crack. I reckon it's just ball use for them. They just can't kick and hit a target, and it just made them look pretty poor. They're much better than what they are, so I think people need to back off. And obviously, you know, Matty Nicks as well. We saw some footage and some photos of him moving Gatorade bottles around in the room, and they're saying this is under 10 stuff. Well, when your side's playing like an under 10 side, you've got to talk to them like an under 10 side. But all he was doing, he was stating a point. Hang on, the yellow Gatorade bottle, okay, and you got two clear Gatorade bottles. The yellow Gatorade bottle is the opposition. When they move down the field, you've got a zone, you've got to block dangerous space. That, for me, is pretty simple. What do you want him to do? Make up some Lego at half-time or get some witches' hats? So I totally get what he was trying to do. Just keep it simple, get the message right through. Unfortunately for Adelaide, they have been fairly good over the last few weeks with their efforts. On the weekend, they took a huge step backwards, and sometimes you just got to try and get the point across and keep it as simple as possible.
Yeah, I think the Crows now winless after 9 matches. Matthew Nicks still hasn't got that win. I think I saw a stat today that there's only been a few coaches that have gone 0-9, but none have gone 0-10 to start their career, so he'll be hoping for a win next week.
Well, they do play the Demons, so and they are at home, Adelaide Oval, so it's certainly not out of the question, but I would expect the Demons to bounce back and bounce back hard. And you got to feel for Matty Nicks, like a coach, their very first season, when you take on the job, never do you think through pre-season and heading in to the start of the season that you're not going to win a game. So it's a tough initiation. He'll work his way through it. He'll be better for the experience, but it'd be nice to see him win a match at some stage.
Well, Crawford, now it's time for the moment we've all been waiting for tonight, and we should have mentioned it in the intro because I've really been looking to this. This is your All-Australian team, or your team of the year more so, because you've got a few different criteria for this team, I believe.
Look, I know how social media works, and everyone's got their own opinions, but the only opinion that matters is mine, OK? So here we no, look, the All-Australian position and team is very, very tough. So this is a team that I think deserves to be the team of the season for what they do for the side, the impact that they have on the game, the role that they play for their team, and their consistency throughout 2020. So Burn Jones, Andrews, Nick Haynes, superstar. Ridley, good to have him in there. Wiedering and Moore from Collingwood. So that's a pretty good defensive line. And I'm happy to debate with anyone who wants to take me on there.
Yeah, well, my immediate reaction was, Crawford, you've gone very top-heavy in your back line there. You've got some big guys and not a lot of guys to look after the small guys. What about a Braden Maynard or someone like that? He's been averaging about 20 touches a year, plenty of rebound, 50, and he's been locking down, or a Brad Shepherd, someone like that?
It's a good call. Doherty as well. So, no, they're all very good calls, and this is the great thing about these teams. Everyone's got a different opinion. Everyone looks at possessions. I look at impact. I just watch with my eye. I don't care about stats, because if you want to play AFL football and get a kick, it's easy. You just run backwards and they'll pass the ball to you. But this is about impact. My midfield, I'm going to go with Butler. I know he's kicked a lot of goals, but he can run through the middle, and that's how he sort of gets the ball heading towards goal. Pendlebury, super consistent. Duncan, probably the only real true wingman. He's a wonderful ball user. Dustin Martin in the at half-forward line. Also Dixon and Petrarca as well. Look at that. Petrarca and Dustin Martin playing together. How good's Dusty been over the last few weeks? Dixon's been super consistent. Petrarca, he's had a really good, consistent year as well. And what about the forward line? Papali, Kennedy, who's finally found some form and being very consistent, especially over the last month. And Charlie Cameron, look at that for speed and class. You've got Dustin Martin, Petrarca, Papali, and also Cameron. How good is that forward line?
Yeah, those two small forwards just about pick themselves, don't they? They've been very exciting this year. Interesting you've got Dusty there with Petrarca. Do you think Dusty's upped his game a little bit since you gave him that clip and put him behind Petrarca a few weeks ago?
Well, I never gave him a clip. I just said Petrarca has been the most consistent player out of those two for season 2020. But, hey, how good's Dusty been to watch over the last few weeks? And his game on the weekend, oh, that's why we watch footy. Absolutely love him. Now, let's go to the rucks. You're going to like this. Max Gawn. The ruckmen have been super this year, so a very competitive spot. Max Gawn, Lachie Neale, absolute jet. And Dangerfield, the impact and the consistency he's having and the impact that he has on a game when when Geelong needs someone to lift, it's always Paddy Dangerfield. Now, my interchange, this is going to be very controversial. OK, people are going to whack me here. Boak, been awesome. Goldstein, been wonderful in the ruck.
What?
Wits from Gold Coast, yes, you read it right. And also Steele from St Kilda. Just plays that hard sort of roll through the middle, gets plenty of the footy, does all the team things. That's why St Kilda are doing so well. And Wits, hey, Gold Coast wouldn't be where they are and have had all those wins without him. He has been just incredible. And I know you don't normally go with a lot of rucks in your side, but in this side we're going because they deserve to be in. You could also throw in Grundy. Nat Nui starting to find a bit of form. I'm loving the rucks for season 2020.
Jeez, Crawford, 2 ruckmen on the bench. You're not getting a whole lot of run off the bench there, eh?
Hey, who cares with this team? Who are they playing? They're playing no one. So I think it's just the guys that deserve to be in a starting 22. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah, very interesting team. Dan Butler on a wing too. I wanted to ask you about that. I reckon there's a guy by the name of Hugh McCluggage who might be a bit upset with that selection.
Well, you're going to put him ahead of Butler, or you just want to put him on the wing and push Butler forward? So Butler has to be in the starting 22 somewhere, and he's fighting with Papali, he's fighting with Cameron, he's fighting with Martin and Petrarca. So I think he deserves to be on the field. I've got him ahead of McCluggage at the moment.
Well, very good, Crawford. Yeah, not
what
sure
else?
about
Keep
the bench,
coming at
the
me.
rest.
There's no Bulldogs. Bontempelli I thought about. McRae.
Jack McRae.
But there's no Hawks, which hurts me. But,
Sicily,
you know, that's just the way it is.
Sicily.
Sorry?
Don't like James Sicily.
Wonderful player. We like him a lot. But, look, as you said, Maynard is someone who's not in that side and someone who we needed to consider. Nick Haynes is a jet. He is just on fire. I love Ridley, what he's brought to the Bombers this year. And Moore has to be in your All-Australian side if you're going to pick a starting side for the year.
Well, Crawford, I'm hearing there's no roast this week. What's going on? This is one of my favourite parts of the show, and yet somehow we just got a big hole in the show after that.
No, the roast was going to be you being a ball boy for Nathan Buckley and Brenton Sanderson during the week. But
you went a bit early with your gag.
Hey, yeah. No. It's no roast this week. We're going to Sunday's Star, and it was Mad Jack Daw. It was so good to see. We know he's had those battles for a long time now, and then coming back from injury. He's been a wonderful role model for the Sudanese community throughout the AFL, and it was awesome to see him play on the weekend. And more importantly, we know he had a shot at a goal early and he totally missed. It was a shocking shot. It was great. We're all cheering for him to slot it through, especially towards the end of the match. And that's what footy's all about, bringing players from all different walks of life and getting around and just becoming one. So that was a very special moment. Good on you, Mad Jack. We loved it, and keep it up. Stay on that side.
Great call, Crawford. That one-armed fist pump was just the iconic shot of the weekend, wasn't it? The photos of Mad Jack, both at training and then in the game.
Yeah, he's got biceps like you, Ayrton. Like, really, hey, what about the muscles on that man? He is incredible. He was in the ruck leaping over players, and it was good to see him slot one through the middle. So well done. Awesome to see, and that's why we love footy.
I'm glad you've noticed those few extra curls I've been doing while I've been up here on the Gold Coast.
Lots of push-ups, lots of chin-ups, and a few curls. You know what they say on the beach? Curls get the girls.
Yeah, look, I've got a partner I'm very happy with at home, Crawford. So
how are your cats? Actually, I know you've got some cats, and you obviously you've been shipped off to Queensland, right? And you know, you've left your partner here, and you haven't seen your cat for a long time. So, what is the name of your cat?
Billy's the name of my cat. Geez, we've gone off.
Billy.
Gone off
what type of cat is it? No, I want to know what type of cat is it.
I'll get you a photo if you like, Crawford. A little, I don't know what you'd
No,
call
I don't want a photo.
some...
I just wanted a name. Billy, and what type of cat?
I don't know. He's a cat. What sort of cat?
You don't know the type of your cat?
Yeah, he's got a few different colours and stripes and stuff.
Oh, my goodness. He's a mixer. No? I don't know. Anyway, that's good. You need to find out the type of your cat before next week's show, because I'm going to test you again.
Righto, Crawford. I'll have that for next week.
Hey, can you make sure you keep all the partners, the staff, the players in their hubs? We need the AFL season to continue. We really do. I know it's getting a bit dicey. So keep them going. We need you to stay in Queensland a little bit longer. You're a superstar. We love you joining the show and being a part of it. And we'll see you next time.
Yeah, thanks again, Crawford, and thanks to AIA Vitality, of course, for the show tonight. Big round of footy, and it continues. 33 matches in 20 days, and we've got plenty left.
How good is that? Ayrton Woolley, superstar that you are. We'll make sure we find out what type of cat he's got for next week's show. All the very best. Thanks for watching.